1968 can by all means be considered the year heavy metal was born, because it was the year pioneering bands Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple and Black Sabbath formed. Since then, numerous bands and numerous fans all over the world have made and enjoyed metal. All around the world? I hope so, because metal is awesome. Today we're going to explore the metal scene in Algeria. Algeria is a big country in northern Africa and is actually Africa's biggest country and the 10th biggest in the world overall. It has a population of about 47 million people, most of whom live in the north of the country because most of the rest of it is desert. Algeria's best known and most popular genre of popular music is called Rai, dating back to the 1920s and usually has lyrics concerning social issues and so is often considered controversial. To the point the government has tried to ban Rai in the past, but never fully succeeded because especially young people protested against this. Still, popular music in Algeria is no stranger to censorship. So we can wonder how metal, which has always been a counterculture thing, is faring in a place like Algeria. But rock and heavy metal has been quietly on the rise there since the 1980s. The earliest rock band I could find from the region is called Tinariwen, a collective of Tuareg musicians from the northern Sahara of Algeria and Mali. They formed in 1979 and are still active. Their latest album was released in 2023. From what I've been able to find, it seems that the rise of rock and metal in Algeria peaked in the 90s, fueled by political and social upheaval and civil war. And the 90s are referred to as the Black Decade. Algeria's youth was looking for a creative outlet for this dire situation and all the emotions that came with it, and access to music from all over the world, including metal, became more available thanks to internet cafes popping up despite the turmoil in the country. And this is how many young folks that would start their own bands got exposed to hard rock and metal. Algeria did manage to grow a pretty strong metal community, though it has sustained attacks by the media and the public, somewhat in parallel to the satanic panic of the 80s in the United States. And so the scene remains mostly underground, one reason being artistic integrity and creative freedom, but the scene is also still developing and there are not really any record labels and not really any distribution of metal music. There's also not really many shows or festivals, since such things have very little support or sponsoring from public or private organizations. Bands mostly try to reach out beyond the borders, mainly towards Europe. Despite the challenges, musicians and fans remain optimistic that the music will continue to resonate with more and more Algerians as time passes. And I share that hope with them for sure. I've been listening to a bunch of Algerian metal bands and there's some very enjoyable and well-made stuff coming from there. And so now I'm going to showcase some bands that I thought were really good and that deserve a bit more attention. One of the earliest metal bands from Algeria was called Neanderthalia, formed in 1993 and split up in 2002. They played a combination of thrash and doom metal and have one full-length album titled Rage by Hate, released in 1998. One former member of Neanderthalia and one of the pioneers for the metal scene in Algeria is this man, Redouane Ouameur, currently vocalist and guitarist in death metal band Lelahell, and formerly in another death metal band called Litham, which released one album called Delanar in 1999. And in 2004, he formed the grindcore band Carnavage, which has a demo titled Carnival of Carnage in 2005 and an EP called The Hairless Fat Carnage Deed in 2007. Yeah, that sounds like a grindcore band though, right? Lelahell is currently still active, though their last album, Alif, already dates back to 2018. Lelahell also made a documentary titled Highway to Lelahell, an Algerian metal documentary, which came out in 2016 and is still available to watch on YouTube and provides a deeper journey into the history of the metal scene in Algeria. I would say I very much enjoyed the album Alif and would recommend it if you're into nasty, fast death metal with some nice, disgusting vocals. Like I said, there's some seriously good metal coming out of this country. It's just sadly not really recognized by the rest of the world, and that's one reason why I'm making this series, because there's just so much good music coming from all over the world that deserves a little bit more attention from the rest of the world. Barbaros is a black metal band that formed in 1998 and released 2 full-length albums and a few singles and demos along the way. Though they currently seem to be inactive, they still might return someday. Berzek is another black metal band that I couldn't really find a lot of information on except their one full-length album, The Hollow World, from 2019. If you're into black metal, I would definitely recommend this one. It goes hard, I very much enjoyed it, and I hope that wherever Berzek are, they will make some more music because they're seriously good at it. Blackbell is a more recent band formed in 2020 and they play thrash metal and currently have one EP called Resurrection. Solid modern thrash, sadly is still a very limited discography. Dusk is a death and groove metal band formed in 2001 and seem to be more sporadically active, but have dropped an EP called The New Land in 2023. And this is another band that I hope will make more music because they get what works about that combination of death and groove. Solid riffs, awesome vocals, it just grabs you and takes you for a ride down sick-ass metal lane. Jugulator is another thrash band. They're quite active and so far released 3 full albums. Ad Exitum in 2019, Under the Verdict in 2021, and Imperator Insector in 2024. Go! Numedian Killing Machine play a mix of thrash, speed, and black metal, formed in 2017 and released a full-length album titled Psychotronic Breakdown in 2023. That is definitely worth giving a listen. Paranoid Fantasy plays superbly dark and heavy death metal since 2008 and have several EPs and demos out, of which Humanity Disgrace is probably the best, but overall I wouldn't sleep on any other work either. Silent Obsession plays brutal death metal since 2017, but only released a few songs in 2021. What I've heard from them, again, I hope they continue to do what they do because I enjoyed it and I think it has so much potential and I'd like to hear more of what they can do. And that seems to be a bit of a running theme with all of these bands. There is a gold mine of good metal in Algeria, but this scene is still quite underground, and these bands really don't get the attention they deserve. But, you know, like I said, it's just not the best country to be in as a metal band. Either way, the metal community there seems very alive and kicking, and I do believe it's a matter of time before more and more people in the country or abroad start to recognize Algerian metal. So that was my little dive into the Algerian metal scene. Maybe you're a metalhead from Algeria or you know more about the scene there, and I would appreciate it if you let me know in the comments if I did okay and if I mentioned the bands that deserve to be mentioned, or maybe I skipped some. I don't know, I just Google everything and maybe Google doesn't know everything. Anyway, if you enjoyed this series and want to keep up with it and maybe other videos that I make, please consider subscribing. I will link where you can find all of these bands that I talked about down in the description. And that's gonna be it for me. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.